Hello my magic beach bums, I am Yomi, welcome to today's teaching. In this film I am going to teach you the importance of knowing your true value. By watching it, you will learn to not be afraid to ask why, when you feel that you are being told that you deserve less than you are worth. Long ago, on Pimba Island, in Zanzibar, there lived a young woman called Aliyah. She was not like other women there, because she did not hide her inquisitive mind. Females there typically learned how to cook, and care for the family, and then a husband would be found. Although her father was a scholarly teacher on the island, education was not allowed for women. This was the privilege of her many brothers, and the other men. As a child, her mother encouraged her to learn how to cook. Aliyah asked her mother, "But mother, why do I need to learn this?" Her mother replied, "So you do not starve." The girl knew this made sense, so she learned how to cook. Upon adolescence, her mother encouraged her daughter to learn domestic chores. The girl again asked, "But mother, why?" Her mother replied, "So you can have a beautiful home." Again, this made sense to Aliyah, so she learned how to clean. When the girl became a young woman, her parents told her the time had come for them to find her a husband. Aliyah spoke, "But why?" Her parents replied, "Because that is what girls of your age do." This didn't make sense to Aliyah, and she spoke again. "My parents, that is not a good reason for me to be married, and I will not do it." Her parents were not surprised by her strong-mindedness, and did not try to force her. Since being a little girl, Aliyah had been secretly watching her father, as he taught and studied, and she'd learned much from these observations. She was indeed a very bright young woman. One day, when her father was in discussion with another teacher, she saw that both men were confused, when discussing a scholarly issue. Both men were impressed when Aliyah, emerging from the shadows outside the room, was able to solve their quandary. Over the following months, her father allowed Aliyah to take part in intellectual discussions, with his peers and students. She soon surpassed them all in knowledge. The following year, her father received an invitation from the head Sharif of Unguja, Zanzibar's largest island. All schools have been commanded to send their best scholar, to attend a conference. The Sharif aimed to compile their joint knowledge into a comprehensive encyclopedia of Zanzibar. Aliyah's father and his colleagues knew they faced a dilemma. They wanted to please the Sharif, but knew women would not be allowed to attend. However, they also knew that Aliyah possessed the greatest mind any of them had encountered. The unanimous consensus was that the young woman must be sent, and so Aliyah arrived at the conference a few days later. Although there were a small number of female delegates, Aliyah was the only one who was not accompanied by a man. Suddenly a voice shouted, "Scandal!" Another voice bellowed, "See how she dresses! Surely she is not of good reputation!" Another voice echoed around the hall, "This is a sin against God himself!" They all looked toward the Sharif for an answer. He thought for a moment, and then spoke. "Young lady, a female is not allowed to attend this scholarly panel." Aliyah listened respectfully and then replied, "Excuse me, Your Excellency, but I am here under your invitation." The Sharif was confused, and Aliyah continued, "I am the greatest mind in my community, the invitation did not say that I must be a man." The Sharif was amused, and replied, "Your point is a fair one, and so I do not object." One of the older men shouted loudly, "Surely it is wrong for a woman to take part in this discussion." Aliyah replied, "But why?" The elderly scholar answered her question. "You will feel uncomfortable around a large number of men." Aliyah listened calmly, and then replied, "I have been raised with many brothers, and my focus here is to simply bring knowledge." The older scholar spoke again. "So you want to prove that women are better than men?" Aliyah responded without fear, "Sir, I am simply here to take part in the discussion, and satiate my desire for wisdom." The old man replied, "Greater wisdom is for men only." Aliyah responded, "But why?" The elderly scholar replied quickly, "It is because female intellect is weaker than that of a man." The young woman replied without hesitation, "According to who?" The old man spoke again, "It is written." Aliyah spoke again immediately, "Written by who?" The elderly scholar replied, "By our descendants." Again there was no hesitation from Aliyah. "Sir, do you mean our male lineage?" The old man responded smugly. Yes, of course. Aliyah spoke again. So sir, please tell me, how do they know that women are weaker in intellect? The elderly scholar, now increasingly impatient, replied once more. Through observation. Aliyah spoke again, straight away. Sir, what precisely did they observe? The elderly scholar hesitated, before responding awkwardly. I do not recall. Aliyah confidently turning to those observing the discussion. In that case, I invite all of you wise men here, to ask me a question, to prove that I am indeed of weaker intellect. The men were all intimidated by Aliyah's self-assuredness, and were afraid to look foolish, by asking a question that she might be able to answer correctly. The young woman looked back toward the old scholar and smiled. He was furious, and bellowed at her. Surely this woman speaks too much. Aliyah was amused by his remark, and the mood in the chamber was strained. The Sharif had been silent throughout this whole interaction, but now he spoke, addressing the elderly scholar. Sir, this woman deserves an answer. Why do you state a woman's intellect is inferior? The elderly man hesitated once again, and then replied, Your Excellency, I need more time to provide an example. The Sharif, unconvinced by the man's response, spoke again. This wise young woman has earned her place on this panel, until such a time that you are able to prove her lack of intellect. She has proved her ability to skillfully debate with all of you, who have challenged her. To waste more time and energy this way, would surely be foolhardy. Let our real work begin. The men all remained quiet, embarrassed by the truth of the Sharif's comments. Although the men remained doubtful about Aliyah's ability, as the discussion progressed over the following days, all doubts were gone. She took part in many debates, asked a multitude of questions and provided answers to even more. The men were eventually astounded by the brilliance of her mind. Months later, when the encyclopedia was finally compiled, much of Aliyah's knowledge was included. Little is known about Aliyah from that point onwards in her life. Some have said she wrote a book of her own ideas. Others have said she established a school for girls. However, the thing that everybody agrees upon is, the girl who asked why, became Zanzibar's first female scholar. So to you my wonderfully insightful listener, always remember, that you are a powerful individual. Ask why, when you don't understand, or when you don't agree. Seize your right to a successful life without discrimination, or the need to settle for less than you are worth. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any new teachings. Don't forget to check out the description for this video, because it includes some great links for you. Go make magic in your life and tell us about it in the comments. See you real soon right here at my magic beach.